Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is ArbieG and today we are back with the Beginners Mazda Series Round 2. And I'm joined today by Roadrunner Dan again. Hi Dan.
Hello.
How's it going?
Everyone, very good, thanks.
Great stuff. So we've got the listings in terms of the standings out of the result of round 1 last week, so we can see that up on the screen in front of us now. You can see it's myself topping out the series at the moment with a 2-point lead, which I got through getting the 2 fastest laps on the last one. But going through the list, we've got Slide, and we've got Hippie Blood, Fraser, Dawes, Mo, Barney, Diva, Jay, a Book to Boy, Drakel, and that's it, because a Rabbit for some reason decided to leave himself in there, even though he's the host and not actually racing. So that's sort of our leaderboard at the moment. So we have 2 20-minute races to bring you, and it was topped off by a 10-minute qualifying session. Let's see the results of that qualifying now. So you can see it was myself who managed to get in a pole position with a 37.2. Then we've got Sly coming in with a 37.5, only 3 tenths behind, taking in 2nd place. Barney in 3rd with a 37.9. Fraser in 4th with a 38.1. Then it's Jay, then Lewis, then Arbie, then Dawes, then Diva, and then a new chap to join us today is a Doggers, and I think a Lewis is new for us today as well, so we've got 2 new people on track, and possibly Arbie as well. We weren't too sure about that one, so we've got a few newbies and a few returners from last week, so it should make for an interesting race. Any big surprises in there for you, Dan, in terms of the qualies?
I was surprised how well Big Boy Barney did. I think he did very well to get on 3rd.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
And
really
Lewis, as a new to, I think he's fairly new to Gran Turismo, but plays other racing games, has done well to put on 6th.
Yeah, no, great. It's great to see him up there as well, and I think Fraser maybe could have done a little bit better. I've seen him get into the 37, so probably didn't have a good quali. But let's go into the race anyway, and let's see how it panned out in race 1. So this race is obviously based on the qualifying session, and then we have a second race afterwards, which is based on the reverse grid of the first race. So 2 20-minute races. We have up the tyre wear and the fuel consumption compared to last week, but probably not enough that it would require a pit stop, so it's just a straight shot again, but maybe being a little bit mindful. A few people gone out on super softs, a few people out on softs, and the race has started now. Rolling start as we see the pack come through there, heading towards turn 1. Everyone's got a nice lot of space in the first few turns of this race with the rolling starts. I believe we'll be moving up to grid starts going to next week. So looks like Drakel's already made the move up on Doggers in turn 1. Probably didn't get away to a great start. Besides that though, looks like the pack is relatively unchanged from where we started, and we'll probably see as we get sort of towards the middle and probably going up towards a Banky Boy, that's when we'll start seeing people start to bunch up and possibly a few moves being taken, as looks like Dawes is looking up on the inside of Arbie here. Stay on board with him. Probably not got enough to make that move, but he's just sitting in the centre of the track in case he finds the opportunity. Not enough there. Well done for him to back out. Definitely not the place to make that move. Fraser looks like he's got Barney coming up from his inside. Probably didn't get a good exit out of a big Banky Boy. Looks like Barney's trying to take advantage, but it is quite hard to get in front of people. If you're side by side, it looks like Fraser's going to have the inside going into these 2 turns here. Barney's slightly ahead. I think Fraser's going to keep it with the preferred line. He does, yeah. And we're just going to skip back to Diva, see how he's doing back here. Lost a bit of control there, not the neatest through there, and I think he's caught the grass, and oh, that's unfortunate. He's off on the first lap. Up against the barrier, he's going to have some work to pull himself back now. We'll go back up the top of the grid. Fraser runs himself a little bit wide there, now sees him up nice and comfortably in 3rd. Looking through the pack, we've got Lewis and Jay holding up the mid-pack. It actually looks like Jay's looking up on Big Barney Boy, trying to move himself up to 4th, making a nice pass here. Got on the inside really nicely and straight up and through. It looks like we've had a few nice moves, not really any incidents or anything to report of. Barney pushing back already, trying to get on that inside, but wasn't quite able to get to. Maybe lost himself out a little bit of pace, and that's afforded Lewis the chance to hit back. Bit of a weird place to try and overtake there, Dan. What do you think?
Side by side around there, yeah, not the easiest place to overtake. Normally you want to try and get a move done into a braking zone, or if you do, get a really good run or slipstream behind someone. But you can see the super soft users here, like Lewis and J-Lad, I think are profiting from the slightly softer tyres, slightly quicker as well. Yeah. So we might see Big Boy Barney come back later on in the race. But
whoa, Arbie sneaking in there. I mean, it's clean, it's fair enough. I think he snuck in there and managed to get out, but we've got a lovely little pack of 4 here. Keeping it nice and neat, nice and tight. Lewis looks like he's favoured to get through here. Big boy Barney's got some pace on him though. He's really trying to find his way through. If it was me, I'd maybe sit off a little bit and wait for a few mistakes to be made, because when you're following a pack like this, there's going to be people who run wide or miss a braking zone, and they're quite easy to pick off, and you just don't want to be one of those people, really. It looks like Jay's holding that 4th place really well at the moment. As we know, something we learnt last week, Jay's a very strong defensive driver, hard to get past. And we're just on board with Barney, still sitting up behind Lewis here, trying to make gains and get himself pushing up to where he started, which I believe he started in 3rd place, so has fallen off a little bit. Lewis maybe outbraking himself a little bit there, still holding it okay because he managed to keep that inside line, still secure in 5th place, but has afforded Jay a little chance to push on forward, and Jay might be able to hold that 4th place and solidify it. We'll skip forward now to lap 5. On board again with Lewis sitting in 5th. You can see largely unchanged with Jace just having that little bit of edge in terms of gap. Big boy Barney still trying to find a bit of space to get in front of him. Again, it's just coming up to a Banky boy. Just coming up behind and just sitting behind him. No real chance to make a move, but he's just got to try and close that gap and get as close as he can so he can overtake through one of the times. Now we're going to look at the fight for 2nd place. We've got Fraser and Sly in a bit of a battle up for 2nd place, and myself a little bit further ahead in front of that. So certainly from my own point of view, when I saw these two start having a fight, I was quite pleased, because obviously that just gave me the opportunity to sort of grow that 1st place spot. So really it was up to these two here whether or not they tried to work together to close that gap down on me, or whether they spend their time trying to fight each other. And it looks like, did Sly drop off there?
It looked like he did back out that move. He did give Fraser which is the right thing to do. I think in that kind of corner, the way you drift out wide is, if you're stuck on the outside, you're just going to end up in the wall. I think it was a good decision to back out that one early.
Yeah. Make sure you can maintain this speed and not tail off. Looks like we've got 2 real good fights here. Everyone else is pretty relatively spread out, so we're going to pay a little bit of attention to this fight for 2nd place and the fight for 4th place as well. Looks like we've got 2 little fights developing out, and that's kind of really how it stayed when we sort of skip forward now to lap 8. We worked this race out to be roughly a 12-lap race. Sort of depending on your pace, you could maybe do 13 if you're really quick, but realistically, everyone at this pace is going to be running 12 laps for this one. We've got Fraser just in front of Sly here. Sly trying to find the opportunity to get in front. He's in a nice place coming up to Banky Boy. He's already... You can tell he thought about maybe going up on the inside there, but he's popped himself back into the slipstream, getting himself a little bit more speed, and they're going in side by side now, coming into Banky Boy. Fraser taking that wider line, staying on the outside. Sly going nice and tight against the apex there, getting loads of room, and a nice and easy pass for him there.
Yeah, what I liked about that move specifically is he pulled out the slipstream first and realised he didn't quite have the momentum, so touched back in to just gain that little bit of momentum, get him alongside. That was a very, very good move by Styles. Yeah,
no, great stuff. So yeah, it's actually been quite a nice and clean and tidy race so far. Not really any major incidents apart from a couple of people having a slip out here and there, and there's been some quite tidy racing in quite some big packs as well. So good to see so far. We've got Fraser trying to hit back at Sly, trying to sort of grind that gap back, because when we're watching these two are relatively well paced, so it's watching out to be a relatively good fight here. Still got the fight for 4th place here, so we're on board with Big Boy Barney, who's just behind J Lad, coming back round a Banky Boy now. Only a few more laps to go, so we've kind of got about, just over 3 laps left, and they're really going to have to start making their moves. Especially Big Boy Barney needs to grind down that gap between himself and J Lad and see if he can find an opportunity. There's 2 real key overtaking places I find in this track, which is the main straight and obviously a Banky Boy. Those are your 2 areas that you really are looking to overtake outside of people making any errors and you getting a nice quick one. It looks like Sly picked himself up a penalty there. It must have been for track limits, exceeding them, and it looks like he's gone off pace there. Didn't get a great line through, and Fraser's now got the pace on him, and he looks like he's going to make his move here. Got loads of pace on him, doesn't even need to match each other in terms of braking. He's still keeping on the centre track, maybe drifted over a little to the outer track, but plenty of room, and a nice easy pass there for Fraser, seeing himself back up to second place. So a lot of to and fro in between these two, Dan.
Yeah, but the main thing is they're keeping it clean, giving each other respect, so it's good to see. Like, you will get, it's good battling. You like to see the switching positions, keeping it, like, watching it at the time. It was really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So Barney's still not able to draw up on Jay there, and it looks like Sly's moved up again on the outside, and he's got Fraser on his inside. Looks like he's going another move. He's not going to have the track position here to get past it. It's relying on Fraser having a really, really poor exit for him to get past. Fraser keeping nice and tight to the apex. Sly keeping it just around the 70 miles per hour, which is kind of the area that you want to be looking at coming through that apex there. Still relatively close between these two fights, though, between the battle for fourth and the battle for second place. Again, in terms of everyone else in the grid, as you can see in the track map on the top right there, Dan, you know, we could go over and highlight them, but there's really not much to see in terms of what's going on out there. We've actually got a little bit thing to see here, which is MFC, Dawes and Arbie. So Dawes just looking up on the inside of Arbie here, probably not in the best position to do that. And a little bit of contact there, and Arbie is off. So what's your thoughts on that one, Dan?
Referencing back to last week, remember we said if you're not quite alongside someone or comfortably up the inside, just to back out of it. And I think Dawes maybe could have backed out of that one. Arbie does come across him a bit and spins out, but then Dawes doesn't wait for him either. So the nice etiquette or racing etiquette to do there is just wait for him, give him the place back. You did make contact, so next time just maybe way up, get the place back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these things always happen, man. Like that, you know, contact's going to happen, especially when you're racing over a series of laps, and eventually, you know, people are going to hit each other. But as you say, it's about that respect, and if you're able to pass that place back, I think it sort of brings down the emotions at times as well. So as much as it can hold people back and make people fall back in the races, it's kind of the right thing to do, really.
Yeah, I agree.
So we've got oh, sorry.
That's right. Carry on.
So we're on board now with Drakel. He's actually got Arbie up behind him, so we've seen another little battle come out here. Drakel and Arbie. Drakel not running a great line through there, catching a bit of the grass, and it's afforded Arbie a chance to get up on that inside. Close racing there, but Drakel doing well to afford him the room, and Arbie just grabbing that position there, capitalising on a mistake made from Drakel there, so he sees himself up into 8th place. Back up this fight here, big boy Barney again. Jay is not letting him go past, but is this his chance there, making a little bit of contact, trying to get on that inside, but that leaves Jay on the inside coming into the next turn. Jay's in the favourable position, especially coming down to the next turn where he's going to be on that inside track. Not saying big boy Barney can't get past, but certainly Jay looks in a good position to keep that there. And Sly now in 3rd place, sitting up behind Fraser, trying to keep an eye on both of these fights going on here. That seemed to be a lot of trading going on at the same time. Big boy Barney still fighting and scrapping to get past Jay, but just not finding that room. He's now sat in the slipstream going down the home straight. Is he going to try and make a move here? Jay taking the middle track, well done there by Jay, going on the defensive. Barney a little bit later on the braking, not hitting the apex probably as well as he'd like, and Jay's now nipped in front again. So I was really impressed with the way Jay defends, very aware of what's going on track and very aware of his car position in relation to other people's.
Yeah, I believe it's very,
and try and
it's very smart defending from Jay in terms of, like, if you're going to go around me, you're going the long way around. And it's never easy to go the long way around. It even means you have to carry more speed. And the way he does it is, like, very well defended, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think when people go on the defence on the inside, they assume they have to go as far into the inside as they possibly can, which, as you know, sleeves. And Fraser, unfortunately, has lost it there. 12th lap, last lap of the race. Is Sly going to go and pinch 2nd place from Fraser, who had a really unfortunate off there? And that is really, really unfortunate for Fraser. Losing it there on what looks to be the last lap, with us only having about 40 seconds left of this race. Not going to get past that finish line and needing the 13th lap. Big boy Barney still trying to get past J-Lad. Looks like he's been spending half this race trying to get past him. And certainly by terms of what we saw in practice and qualies, he certainly has the maybe the pace over Jay, but like I said, Jay, a defensive driver through and through, really hard to pass. And we're now coming down to the final section. As we come through now.
It's gone for a switchback.
Apologies, it looks like Barney might have made that. Apologies, I've been saying all the way through it's 12 laps, but it's actually 13, isn't it? I'm getting confused with the Beatles that we did last week. So apologies, yeah, we're looking at 13 laps for this race here, just over the line for those two. Everyone else is now going to be coming through and confirming their position. So we've still got these good scraps here. Big boy Barney finally getting that move done on Jay. We've still got Styles and Fraser, with both little penalties over the head they need to grind off before they finish off this race. Coming up to a banky boy, and as you can see, big boy Barney and Jay just behind them. I think big boy Barney's going to hold on to that 4th place. I think Jay's going to find it hard to get back, but there's still a scrap going on here. Fraser going on that outside, Sly going on the inside, and it looks like Fraser got a really good exit there, and Sly not so much. So coming out at really fast speed.
With Sly's compromise line on the way into the corner, it means he has to compromise on the way out. So Fraser used the advantage of the banking to just slingshot his way by. It was a really good move around the outside from Fraser.
Fantastic move, and yeah, no, really super impressive. We've got 5 people coming out on track. Doesn't look like things are really going to change much from what we're seeing in terms of the standings on the left right now, but we'll let people come through the line and just confirm them off as they come through. As you see, we've had the back half of the race already finish off after 12 laps, as that's when the 20-minute marker went past, and myself coming through confirming the 1st place. So obviously from my point of view, really pleased with that, and certainly from my point of view, really pleased that Frey and Sly got caught up in quite a big fight, which kind of afforded me the opportunity just to grow that lead and hold on to it. So we've got Fraser in 2nd, Sly picking up a penalty at the end of the day. Probably would have seen him up in 2nd place if he hadn't nabbed that penalty at the end. And you've got Barney and Jay coming through after a great fight between those two. Some really good fighting between anyone in 2, 3, 4 and 5. Really, really good racing. But that's our confirmed result. So we've got myself at top, Fraser, Sly, Barney, Jay, Dawes, Lewis, Arbie, Drakel, Diva and Doggers. Any immediate thoughts, Dan, in terms of what you saw unfold there?
Really enjoyed the battles for 2nd and 4th. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Lewis, I don't know what happened to him at one point. He seemed to drop down a bit, but still solid. 7th place for his 1st race. Good job.
Oh, great stuff. So we're going to race 2 now, which is the reverse grid based on the results of the 1st race. So we've got Doggers leading us out here on our rolling start for another 20-minute or 13-lap race, 12 to 13-lap race, depending on your pace. And let's see how we get on. So we should, just as we always talk about when it comes to reverse grids, you should have the guys with a bit more pace at the back, and the guys that are maybe like a second or two behind at the front. It makes for a really, really interesting race and a really competitive race. So that combined with the rolling start means the guys at the back have a lot of work to do in order to get themselves up. Does it look like a Dogger's got away to a great start and sees himself already dropping back to 3rd. Diva and Drakel sees an opportunity, sees Diva drop up to top. And it looks like everyone else is coming through now. And it looks like Barney's again finds himself behind Jay, unfortunately, for him. And let's see how that develops in the mid-pack. We've got this nice little pack here for 2nd place as well. Diva making gains and leading out at the front. But we've got this little fight here for 2nd place. It's Arbie's now, along with Drakel. We've got our Doggers just behind him, along with Lewis just on the inside of him. A little bit of contact made there. Drakel might have lost it a little bit there, maybe not the neatest through, and if I was Arbie I probably would have gave that one back. Quite honestly, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it is minimal contact. It's one of those you can,
but it did.
The good thing is to give it back, but I can see why some people see it as just hard racing. So
it's one of those ones that's on the line and kind of depends on what sort of person you are, whether or not you'd think it's appropriate to hand that back or not.
Yeah, but we're not calling Arbie a bad person either. Arbie's a nice lad, very good driver as well, very quick.
Looks like we've got a really, really tight pack here at the back here. You can see, 3 wide coming in here. Got Jay coming in there, giving Sly a knock through the apex there, and unfortunately another incident there where maybe Jay should hold off and let Sly have that place back. It looks like he come into a bit aggressively there, trying to pretty much using him to slow down his car, really.
Yeah, I've reviewed this one as well, and it's like you see 3 car wide in front, you know you're not. Your best bet's just to sit behind and wait and see what happens, not come charging in from the further back, because it's just going to cause incidents like that one. So unfortunately for Jay, I think that was a bit of a dirty move on his part.
Yeah, certainly one of those things, more terms of outbraking themselves, really, isn't it? I think it's easily done going into that, especially when you're behind a big pack. You're picking up the slipstream, so you're going faster than what you normally would be, and obviously people have different braking markers and lines going through things. You've got people on the inside in general braking early. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's always best to be a little bit cautious. We've got a lot going on at Banky Boy here. Drakel leading out the front of this little pack with Jay, and it looks like we've had enough there. I think we're going to go back and have a look and see what that was. We've got Jay just pipping in front there. Let's go back and see what happened to Dawes here. Just before we saw that, we saw Dawes just slipping off when he was up in 4th place, running quite well in lap 2. He comes up through Banky Boy, maybe gets on that accelerator too early and just slips out into the gravel, and obviously finds himself horizontal across the road. Now we're going to look back up at 1st place. Arbie's really pushed up on Adiva now, looking for a place to get past and see if he can move up to 1st place. Closely followed by Lewis and then by Big Boy Barney. We've got Fraser moving up to 5th, so Fraser's definitely made some gains. He finished off last race, as we know, in 2nd place, so he's gone flying up that pack. We've got J-Loud just behind him and Sly just behind him. So Sly doing well as well in terms of getting up through the pack. I remember that myself not doing so well. You can see me struggling to get through this little pack of 4 here, which obviously can happen when there's quite a lot of people all bunched up. Jay leading it out, as we know, as we said before. Strong defensive driver. Sly taking the opportunity to get on the inside there. Probably the right thing to do with Jay. Arbie coming up here, still neck and neck with 1st place. Trying to get past Diva, going on that outside there, and Diva still holding on to that 1st place. So interesting one here. Got Barney just behind as well, trying to find his chance to make some gains, but still keeping up with that top pack. Lewis still in range as well, and you've got Fraser coming up behind as well, who's certainly up on pace. And then we've got this little pack of 4 as well, all sort of trading places and stuff. That's being currently led out by Sly. Coming up to Big Banky Boy with Arbie on the outside of Diva. Arbie certainly with the speed, Diva with the position. A little bit of contact there again, probably not the cleanest, but certainly nothing incident worthy. I'll give J-Lad a little knock from behind there. Nothing too serious or incident worthy, but best avoided it if at all possible. It looks like we've got a real fight here for 1st place, as Lewis has now found himself up in this fight now, going up on the inside of Diva, making a little bit of contact, a little bit of rubbing. Certainly nothing dirty there really, just a little bit of close racing. They've got to be careful of this. Diva actually giving a little bit of knock there, trying to get back on track. Could have been worse. Arbie taking that advantage to get in front of Diva. This is what happens when you start trading paint and making lots of contact, is you start slowing down pace, and that gives everyone behind you a chance to move up on you. That's why it's best avoided. Drakel running a little bit wide there with myself. Actually a little bit of side on side there. And he's sitting in my slipstream. Looks like he might be trying to make that move back. Move back up to Fraser now. And actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to move forward to the 3rd lap now, because there's a lot of action going on this one, Dan. You can tell I'm struggling to keep on top of it all. But you can see you got 3 wide coming into turn 1 now, with Fraser on the inside. Looks like he's favoured to get through there. And Fraser doing really well to grab that position. A lot of close racing there from Barney and Arbie. Arbie taking that opportunity on that inside line to secure that place, but still really anyone's game, especially for 3rd. Looks like Lewis and Fraser might start pulling away for that 1st and 2nd place, but certainly 3rd place is really up for anyone's. And we're looking now just on board with Diva and Sly. Sly looking up the inside of Diva, trying to get on that inside, going up to Banky Boy, see if he can take advantage. He's got in front of him now, so he's got the pace over him. You've got Arbie and this pack just going into Banky Boy just in front of him as well. Arbie on that inside of Fraser. Actually, Barney giving Fraser a little bit of a knock through there. Might have actually done him a favours in terms of his exit speed there, looks like it. J-Lad has got myself just up behind him there. Finds himself a little bit further back than he was in the last race, but again, from what I remember, really hard to try and get past. So I was having quite similar issues that Barney has. Very, very strong defensive style from Jay. And a lot going on here, Dan, isn't there?
There's moves going all over the place. I'm struggling to keep up watching about the highlights with you here. I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah.
I saw Diva got pushed off on the outside of the last corner in the previous lap. I think that's just a bit unfortunate, just being stuck on the outside and nowhere to go. A few good moves, and I think it was Arbie up the inside at one point, which was good, and then Big Boy Barney pushing Fraser back through was fortunate for him. Just be aware into braking zones, you can't always use your own braking zone, or you do go in. And is that someone off in the background?
Oh, you know what? I didn't actually catch that one. I can't see it on the track map. I don't see anyone off unless they just had a bit of a slip. But I missed that one, unfortunately. So we've got Fraser trying to push up now on Lewis, and Barney not far behind. So he's really sort of moving away now from Arbie, and he's going to try and see if he can catch up with this pack of two at the top. J-Lad with Diva just in front of him. Myself have tailed off a little bit and now find myself in a fight with Drakel in 9th place. And then behind that we've got Dawes, and we have I'm really sorry, I can't remember the chap who was in 12th. What was his name, the new chap?
Doggers.
Doggers. That was 11th. It, sorry, my brain...
Because there's only 11 drivers, Arbie.
Oh, apologies, yeah, sorry. Just inventing places for people. So we've got Diva on board with now, still sort of involved with J-Lad just behind him. Barney still trying to gain this gap back on Fraser and Lewis in front of him. Still got a lot of room to make up now. Sly's now moved up to Arbie, so Sly's done really well in terms of moving up through this track as well. Not so much as what Fraser's managed to do. Fraser really worked his way pretty quick, and now sees himself up in the top spot. We're going to skip forward now, and actually there must have been a swap out there, because it looks like it's Alan Lewis in front, so apologies for missing that one. Lewis, but it looks like Fraser's going to be making the move up, and now not much space there, but actually did manage to get that move nice and clean and through, sticking it up on that inside there, and he's on the inside line coming through here, and it looks like he's going to be able to hold on to this first place Fraser. So we're currently now sort of towards the end of the 5th lap. Lewis trying to find the space to come back, getting in that slip range. Slipstream obviously not as profitable as it perhaps is in your Group 3 or your Group 4 cars or your faster cars, but you certainly do get a benefit from the slip here. And let's skip forward now to lap 6, and we've got a pack of 4 here. So you've got Jay, then myself, and then you've got Diva and Drakel just behind. Myself just behind Jay, taking that inside line. Jay taking the centre track again. Nice defensive, because you get no one there on his inside. Little bit of side by side there between myself and Drakel coming through the apex, and then we've got Diva able to capitalise on that now. Has actually gone on that inside line and has moved up, leaving myself and Drakel behind. And Jay still leading out this pack here again, showcasing his defensive style of racing, making it hard for anyone to get past him, but not in a way that's unclean. I keep saying this, but I'm not. I wouldn't want people to think that Jay just swings his arse around trying to stop people coming past him. It's just he's very good at being aware and using his car to put himself in a place where it makes it hard to get past him.
Yeah, his positioning of the car is, like we said in the first race, is very good, and between all three of you, you're all trying to have a go at him, which is also making it easier for him, because he's like right now he's got a little gap into turn 1, doesn't have to defend from anyone. But if you all took it in turns, maybe a bit more patient, like one person has a go at him, might get through, and one can follow the other through.
Definitely. It looks like, unfortunately, we lost someone there, outbraking themselves
Diva?
into turn 1. Yeah, I think it was Diva that we lost, unbraking himself, and fell off a little bit from that pack. We're going to skip forward now to lap 7 now. We're just with Sly and Arbie. Arbie looking up the inside, Sly looking up the inside of Arbie here, going into turn 1, a nice and neat and clean move. Looks like he's got this if he gets this right. We're actually going to slip back to Arbie's view here, and he's going to come through turn 2, a little bit light brake. Actually makes contact with Sly there, sends him wide. And it looks like he's holding off for him, which is the right thing to do. And he's actually made another bit of contact there, really unfortunate. And he's decided to leave. He's decided to go, which is not really what we expect, is it, from people?
4 styles got reset. So I think it was good. The first intention when he pushed him off and waited for him, good. But just make sure he's back on track and everything first before you get going next time.
Yeah. I appreciate the swag, but at the same time, it's not really what we want to see, isn't it? No. But yeah, man, if you find yourself knocking someone off track like that, just pull yourself off to the side and wait until they've recovered and got back in front of you, and then see yourself away. But we're now back on board now with Lewis and Barney. Good fight here for second place. Looks like Fraser's really secured that first place. He's starting to pull forward now, and Barney actually gets in front of Lewis there and sees himself up now in second place. So another really good race here from Barney. Skip forward now. We're going to have a look what's going on here. We're now in lap 8. We're with Sly, with Draco just behind him. Sly find himself a little bit back at 6th. Obviously he had that bad knock there from Murby and has had taken a few scrapes and bumps through this race, so he's fortunately found himself a little bit further back than probably what he would like to be, and he's got a little bit of work to try and move himself up. So it could be worse. So he could be me in 9th, who's certainly having not a great race at all.
What happened to you? Because you were with Drakel and Diva behind J-Lad.
There was a lot of mistakes made from myself. If you're interested about kind of what it comes from myself, I'm going to put a video up on my own channel about myself. That's why I'm not put too much focus on what I did, but I had a couple of offs and a few corners that I run wide. I think I come off on Banky Boy once and ended up horizontal like Dawes did, and that's really what hurt me a lot. So yeah, not trying to hide from it, but at the same time not a great race from myself, and something that I found myself probably within about 4 laps getting quite frustrated, and I got like complete a red mist by the time I got to my fifth lap, and my concentration just snapped. I started making really stupid choices, and I started in general just, you know, not doing the sort of normal clean stuff that I do, and in general, you know, making a lot of mistakes. And I'm actually on board with myself now, as we're actually in the 10th lap, coming into the last corner, and we're just coming in. It looks like we've lost the back end as we try and keep it under control. And it looks like I'm going for an unforced pit into that I didn't intend to do after losing the back end, so I thought I'd keep that in. That's how my race was going down.
Oh dear, you get those races come though. It's, you learn from them as well.
Yeah.
One of those, they happen. Everyone gets.
I think I even said to you the day after that I actually learned more from this race than I have in quite a lot of races over the past few weeks. You know, that actually the thing that let me down, as much as I think I felt a bit frustrated through a few bits of contact that I had, and it was quite a lot of close racing. There's actually, Barney there gets in front of Fraser, sealing himself up in first place. So that's actually a really, really good move. It looks like Fraser was actually secure in that first place, and Barney seals himself up.
He seems to be using his softer tyres, which last longer into the race. So now that we're getting at the end of the race, he's got more grip maybe than Fraser. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, lap 12 of
see if that
13,
manages to develop.
hopefully. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we've definitely got one more lap in them here. We've got another 25 seconds left of this race, and it looks like we're going to get another lap from these two here. Everyone else is going to be finishing off this race in this lap here, so you can see in terms of the spread of everyone behind us. I can't see the positions changing much outside of what we can see on the left-hand side. But we're going to stay on board these two for the last lap and see what happens as a result of this fight here for the win, with Fraser trying to grind down that gap, but Barney really pressing home the advantage now as Lewis and Arbie come over the line to secure their 3rd and 4th places. And looks like Jay and Sly have just come through as well, and it'll be followed by Diva and Draco, then myself. So yeah, it's certainly not a great race for myself as you saw. Slipping off ends. For some reason I flipped over to Lewis, who's finished his race. Don't need to do that. Let's go back to big boy Barney, who's now coming up to big Banky Boy with Fraser in actually nice range here. Certainly not out in the woods yet. Barney has got looks like Fraser's going up on that inside, maybe a little early to go up on that front inside, but he still might make something work here. Barney did well to afford him that room, and still holding on to that 1st place now as we come up now to the last few turns of the race.
Just like we saw earlier in the race, we saw, I think it was Fraser using the big Banky Boy slingshot to attack and get around the outside, but I think Barney just used it there brilliantly as a defence as well. Yeah. So good driving.
I do love in terms of that turning overall, in terms of the race, in terms of GT Sport, it's one of my favourite turns. There's so many different ways that you can get through that. A big Banky Boy, that is a lot of fun racing on, I find. But it looks like Barney's going to be holding on to this as they come down now towards the end of it. Fraser runs himself wide, and as does Barney as well. And what does that mean going into the end of this race? Is they're going to come right up to the finish, but Fraser got himself that penalty, a little bit of trade in the paint there coming over the line, but nothing to whinge about there. That's our results confirmed. So we've got Barney finishing off first, then we've got Fraser, Lewis, Arbie, Jay, Sly, Diva, Drakel, myself, Dawes, then Doggers. A great race to see there. A lot of close racing, and as expected, going to be a bit of contact and a few little incidents, but in general, a very high standard. I've put this in here to show the differences in the tyre wear. So you can see myself there on the super softs with hardly any tyres. But if you saw when I was flicking through there, everyone has burned through tyres pretty well. So just a bit of a heads up there for everyone that maybe trying to work on the tyre wear as we start increasing the tyre wear that we use. But we're now into our lap guide. See how we did everyone compared to the fastest lap. The fastest lap was set by Fraser with his 1:37.1. So we're going to be comparing everyone else. So we've got Drakel, Doggers and Diva on screen at the minute. Let's see what we can sort of give a bit of feedback in terms of their lines, their gearing, anything they can do in there. Drakel coming through in third, as is Doggers through turn one. You probably want to be dropping down to second place there, to second gear there to really get to the right speed going through turn one. You can see the differences already from these laps with Fraser edging out in front. Even Fraser himself, the track limits on this one are very, very generous, especially compared to Red Bull. There's a lot of areas that you can push the track limits, which I don't see really anyone doing on here at the moment. I think Fraser might be a benefit from a bit of slip as well going into this lap. And this is actually the one where he did the overtake on the outside, Dan.
Yeah. It was really weird watching Draco Fury and Fraser, because they both got stars in front of them. So it was really weird watching them at the front.
So you can see the gearing here. What Fraser does is leaves it in third, going right the way up to the uphill section. Now I found the Mazda really struggled on that uphill section. You need to be leaving it in third to keep the acceleration up, or else as soon as you hit that fourth gear, your acceleration stops and you're effectively going the same speed and not speeding up, which is obviously making you slower. So we saw a lot of people there gearing up early on that uphill section. Certainly if you ever find yourself back on this track again, just come down last corner now, you can see the differences there as Fraser's just finding himself over the line with the 37 and the other guys a couple seconds behind, and Doggers certainly with a little bit of work to do to try and bring himself up to this pace. So we're going to go up to the next set of people now, again compared to Fraser being the fastest lap. So we're with Dawes, Lewis and J-Lad now, all sort of sitting in the lower 39s to 38 range. J-Lad putting in a great lap there actually with his 38.1. So again, let's have a look at just the differences we might be able to spot in gearing or brake markers or anything like that. So you can see everyone dropping down the 2 there, which is what we want to, what you'd expect. A little bit of trail braking going to there, but your turn 2 I found on this track, and again, Dan, I know you didn't race this, but you'll probably be able to support me on this. That track 2 is probably one of the most important turns on the track. We're considering how much, straight out 100% throttle space that you've got from the exit of turn 2 coming up all the way into Banky Boy. So anything you do to get on the accelerator as early as you can coming up through turn 2 is going to have a lot more gain, as opposed to doing really well on turn 8 where you've only got a small straight afterwards. And you can see here coming up through Banky Boy, we're actually following Dawes. He's actually putting in a couple of overtakes as he's going up through his best lap. But you can see again Fraser and Jay pushing that third gear as far as it will really go. I found once you can push third gear up to 95, 96 and still not start getting the engine ticking over and losing power. So really want to push the higher gears in these, the higher range of the rev limiter when it comes to these Mazdas. They can go a bit further than what you think they would be able to do. As you now come down now, see a bit of braking going on through here. You can actually get through that last turn with no braking whatsoever. Always worth exploring that. If you're finding that you're having to apply a very, very light bit of braking to get through a turn, maybe try and see if you can get through the turn by coming off 20 metres earlier, and seeing if that brings down your speed enough to get you through the turn. And it might be faster, it might not, but it's certainly worth experimenting, especially with the corners where you're using a very light amount of braking. So now we're up to next set, so we've got Big Boy Barney and Sly here. Sly running a low 38 and Big Boy Barney a 37.7. So again, a little bit behind him in terms of what Fraser managed to do in this race here. But we should see a lot more closeness in terms of lines they're taken. You see they're coming out there. And I do notice on Fraser's lap, he gets on the accelerator coming out of turn 2 really early. Like I said, I certainly felt like when I was putting my practice on this one, that was the turn I was giving the most attention to, because I was finding the most gains through that as they're coming around. It's really weird to see. Again, I think the slip might be playing a part of it, Dan.
The 6/10 gap is quite big, so I would say maybe the help from Styles on Fraser's lap is beneficial compared to everyone else. Yeah. Then other people did have a little bit of slipstream as well in some of their laps. So. Yeah,
definitely. It always plays. It plays a part. It plays a part, and certainly, like, you'd think he's taken he's using the banking of a banking boy in order to keep his speed up. But it's a really good example that he actually managed to get that really, really high end time whilst also not taking the ideal line.
Yeah, but we saw like the 3 fastest laps there. They all held third gear all the way up to the right hand of that chicane uphill. Yeah. Where we saw quite a few of the slower laps were already in 4th, going through the left-hander. So interesting stuff to see.
So you can see as well a lot of them for going into this downhill section, staying in 3rd until they're kind of on the downhill part. Found myself doing that as well, and managed to squeeze a little bit of extra time out by doing that. So that's pretty good. But it looks like we're coming over the line now. We've only got one more set of laps to go now to have a look through and see what they look like. So we've just got a final set, which is myself and Arbie. Arbie putting in a great time there. It was 1:37.7, 3rd best time of the race, and myself putting in a 37.2 in the midst of my anger in race 2. And we're just going to keep an eye and see where we might be able to capture some differences. It's certainly something that I might be able to learn for myself as well in terms of what we're doing here. So trail braking down into here again. Trail brake as much as you can here, but getting accelerators as you can. You can see the acceleration. What happened there is me and Fraser got an acceleration at relatively the same time. So I think that's something that me and him cottoned onto. What was about how much there was to gain from turn 2, and if you're trying to make that turn as wide as possible, that gives you the chance to get on the accelerator as early as you can.
The other thing I just noticed is you cut the sausage curl through the left-hander underneath just before the bridge, where Fraser didn't, because he was prioritising sitting in the slipstream. But I think even if you'd cut over it, there's just maybe a tenth to gain out of cutting over the sausage curls as well. Yeah,
if the track elements let you do it, then why not do it? You know what I mean? Like ultimately, it's what it's there to do. So trying to take whatever advantage you can. Fraser didn't get a good cut on that last turn as well, so maybe some room for him to shave off some time there. Coming down to these last 2 turns here, I do really like these 2 little turns back to back here. Just feel really nice to get through and drive. But you can see in terms of myself and Fraser, really, really close in terms of speeds and times. He actually applies a little bit of brake going through there. I don't. I kind of lift off a little bit earlier than him. But you can see what it does to our relative speeds, pretty much matched exactly. Him maybe a little bit faster as he comes through that line. And then Arbie as well with a really, really good time of 1:37.7. So really, really good track comparisons there. So some really good lines to see through there. And a really good race day after all. But let's have a quick look at the standings at the end of round 2. So this is the standings as they stand. At the moment, I've got myself still leading out, but only by 1 point now. I did manage to get one of the fastest laps, but the other one went to Fraser. So the only thing that's seen me in the lead at the moment is the fact that I've got 3 of the 4 possible lastest laps. If I did grab them, it would see me back in 3rd. Then we've got Fraser. Then we've got Sly only on 54, so those top 3 spots still only 2 points in it. Then we've got Big Boy Barney only a few points behind in 4th, so certainly a threat to that as well. Then we've got Dawes and Jay in joint 5th place. Then we've got Diva, and then Drakel, and then Hippie, who wasn't here this week. And then we've got Lewis, who is new to this week with 24. Mo, unfortunately, couldn't be here for this race with 23. Arbie, a new one today with 22, and I booked a boy who couldn't unfortunately be here today with a score of 16, and that pretty much brings us to the end of round 2 really. And our highlights package for the round 2 of the Beginners Mazda series. Dan, any sort of general thoughts, or
I think
penny for your thoughts, sort of thing?
a close battle at the top between the top 3 there, and then I think another thing I noticed in these 2 races is if you got stuck behind J-Lad, you were stuck behind J-Lad. Like Styles, who's third in the championship, couldn't get past him either at the end of race 1 or 2. Then I think the battle for 4th as well will be quite good. Big Boy Barney, Dawes and J-Lad. There's I don't know which way Big Boy Barney might keep pushing and try and join the top 3 battle. So it might be a battle between all 4 of you, which would be quite good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how the season pans out. I think it's going to be relatively close in quite a few places as well. And yeah, I think we've all learned something about a J-Lad today to make sure that you qualify in front of J-Lad. That's probably the main thing that I'll try and take away from today. But that is it for today's highlights video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in taking part in ART races in the future, don't forget to join the Discord, which is linked in the description below. It's really sort of free to anyone to join in, unless you're a bit of a chode, then we don't want you. But that's it for today's racing, so thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys really soon. Alright, cheers.